And we're live. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a great Monday. We're trying something totally crazy and new. And today we are going to literally do this. This is not a premiere. This is a live video. We're going to try to set up and level this Floyd Rose live. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is something new that I'm trying. We usually will come out with some sort of technical how-to video on Mondays. That's typically what we do. But we are seriously busy around here on the pickup side of things. And I thought, it might be kind of cool to just do something live. And then that way, I can do the best I can anyway to keep up with the comments. Leslie's not with me like she is during the live show on Thursdays, so I'm kind of doing this all by myself. So feel free to, if you have a question, a super chat will actually flag up over here, so I'll be able to notice it. If not, maybe at the end of the video, we'll try to go through some of the questions about it. But what I really want to do is focus on how to do this. So the thing about Floyd Roses is a lot of people shy away from them because they think they're super finicky and hard to deal with. And really, they're no different than any other tremolo on vibrato on any guitar. They're not that big a deal, really. What it is it's on a fixed blade. So a 6-screw, if you float a 6-screw Strat or a 2-screw Strat, it's the same thing. A Bigsby is a little bit different in that you don't vary typically, you don't vary the tension of the spring, but if you vary the tension of the strings, it'll mess with it. So what I'm getting at here is to balance a tremolo properly, basically all we're doing is we have the strings pulling this way and the springs on the back are pulling the opposite direction. What we need to do is be able to equalize that. Now on a Floyd Rose tremolo or this type of tremolo, an edge tremolo and an Ibanez would be another example, we really want it to be parallel with the body all the time. And you're going to say, well, how does it get messed up? Every time we change strings, the tension on the guitar can change. So you might actually have to equalize this tension again, especially if you change weight of strings. But if you don't change strings very often and your strings are all stretched out and you've been tuning up to that, to compensate for that, you put a new set of strings on or you change brands of strings, the overall tension is going to change and you're going to need to re-equalize that. A lot of people really fight with this because they'll go ahead and they'll start tuning and the bridge will start pulling up and then they'll come back here and they'll mess with the screws and they'll pull it back down and then they'll do it again. It's like really can be a pain. So I'm going to show you how to do it in like a couple of easy steps. We're going to use the Schecter Sun Valley. This video is not sponsored, but Sweetwater did give me this guitar to use for some videos. So just so you know that. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video to everything that we are using. And we're going to go over the tools that you need now. It's not expensive. It's probably stuff you already have. But if you want to know what I'm using, there's links to it in the description. So I'm using this new Strobo Plus HDC tuner. You just need a good tuner. I would not use a snark. I would use something... Use the most accurate tuner that you have available to you or that you can afford. Now, obviously, this thing's wicked accurate. But if you just use a snark clip-on tuner, you can get pretty close, but I'll show you the area where it really matters when we start to do this. So a good tuner. For most of the tools that I use, I just use the Cruise Tools Groove Tech package, this little thing right here. It has everything you need in it. Except for one thing. And I'll show you what that is in a minute, or I'll tell you what that is in a minute. basically everything in here. And what we're going to use out of here is our Allen key on a handle, and we're going to use feeler gauges. And we're going to use a Phillips screwdriver, but I actually like to use a different Phillips screwdriver. I like to use a little bit bigger one, and I'll show you why in just a second. Now, the only thing I've done to this guitar in preparation for this video, so it's not all staged and stuff, but the only thing I've actually done is I loosened the nuts down here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is loosen these. You don't want to move anything before you do that. And then take the back plate off. So I've taken the back plate off as well. So what we're going to do is we want to basically, let me just make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. Nope. Okay. So basically the first thing we want to do is we want to actually physically level the trem. Now here's the thing about this. This is the way you want it to look when you start. Let me grab my second camera over here. See how the back edge is too low? Most of the time, it'll either be too low or too high to start with. If it is too high, like if you've put lighter strings on or heavier strings on it and it's pulled this way, then what you're going to want to do is flip the guitar over and run those big screws in, those two big screws, these right here, this one and this one. Run those in until this is too low in the back, like it's kind of down this way, okay? And you want it to be a fair amount. You see how far down I've got it there? Okay, so that's where we are going to start our process. Then what we're going to do is we're going to undo that. So we're going to take a set of feeler gauges and I'm going to stick them in the back right here. Just use your tremolo arm to push up and stick them in there. And what you're going to do is, maybe I need to use this other one because it's thicker. What you're going to do is use your feeler gauges, or you could cut up a set of like a deck of cards or small post-it notes or anything and stick it between the body and the block. I'll show you in a minute when I get it in there. And use the appropriate amount of feeler gauges so that the tremolo plate is level with the body. Now, if you have one of those bodies that has like a lot of slope to it, make sure that you get it horizontal. Parallel with the strings would probably be more accurate. So I'm sticking that in there. All right, and then I'll show you what that looks like from the back. Just give me a second. I only have two sets of hands here. Or two hands. So that's what it looks like. Stick it in between the body and the tremolo block from the back. And now I have a level tremolo plate against the body in the front of the guitar. Okay. And you might take a little fiddling. I actually just got lucky, to tell you the truth. You might take a little fiddling. In fact, it's not 100%. So I'm actually going to take two more feeler gauges from this other one. You want this to be as exact as possible. Okay, so that's like super, super exact. And I've got them all stuck in the back there. Now we're going to take a guitar cable and we're going to plug the guitar in to the tuner and we're going to tune the guitar. This is like the boring part that I would normally edit out of the video or make it go super fast or something. So you'll just have to deal with tuning sounds, but that is the one downside to doing it live. So as I'm tuning this, I should tell you the reason we want that tuner or the base plate of the Floyd to be so sucked down is we don't want those feeler gauges, as we tune this thing up to pitch, to fall out. We want it to be tight enough to stay in there when the guitar comes up to pitch. If I'm doing this right now, if I am tuning this guitar right now and those feeler gauges fall out, start over and tighten up those springs some more. And this part of the tuning situation is where you want this to be as accurate as possible. Probably gonna have to go through it a couple times. One thing I should mention before we go to the next step is before I did one of the other things I did besides loosen these up is put all of your fine tuners in the middle of their range. Okay. So now what we're going to do, this sounds counterintuitive, but what we're going to do is now that we have the guitar tuned up to pitch, we're going to pull out these feeler gauges. And what they're going to do, what that's going to do is the guitar's going to pop sharp again. See, now it's all sharp again. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we are going to, guess we'll lock these. Lock our neck, lock our nut. Yeah, actually, let's not lock our nut yet. I've done this both ways. Okay. Now we're going to tune the guitar using the screws on the back. So I am very sharp. So now what we need to do is loosen these screws to loosen the entire set. Now on this situation, because you're moving the whole bridge, what I typically do is I just check the low E and the high E. So I'm just going to loosen these a little bit. Still got to go out more. So basically now what we're doing is we're just loosening, we're tuning the guitar with the trim springs. In these situations, the guitar is pretty much always going to go sharp, so you're just always going to be loosening them, backing them out just a little bit. More. And I can't tell you how many turns because every guitar thread count is different. Okay. A little too far on the low E. Get this as close as you can. Bam. Now we should be Well, here, let's lock that nut now. So the guitar's in tune with the trem springs. We'll go ahead and lock the nut. And when we play it, we should be, might be a little out, so this is where we'll go and use our fine tuners. Which more has to do with how tight I tighten the nut, probably. And there it is. It's in tune. Now here's the cool part. After we did all that, look at this situation. The trem is square in the body. Pretty much totally flat with the pickguard. So now we have a balanced trem. And it will, you'll have to, depending on your setup and the weight of your strings and stuff, you might have to fiddle with it a little bit. But if I wasn't like talking about it, trying to explain it to you, this would take literally, tighten up the screws, you know, loosen it, take the back off, take these loose, tighten up the screws, stick the feeler gauges in there, retune the guitar, pull the feeler gauges out, retune the guitar with the screws, and then fine tune it, really about 10 minutes. So it's really, really not that complicated to do. I know, obviously, trying to explain it as we go. Yeah, that looks awesome. It's like totally flat, straight across with the, like kind of using the pickguard and the parallel with the strings as a gauge. It's like totally straight across, totally perfect. So yeah, so anytime you change strings, tension, brands, or anything like that. Let's just run through here and see if we have any questions. Okay, somebody said then if you only change one string at a time. If you change one string at a time, that still doesn't factor in the final tension of the whole set. So if we put another set, this thing came with Ernie Ball 9s. So if we put another set of Ernie Ball 9s on it, we could probably get away within just fine tuning. However, if you have had the guitar strings on there a long time and you've stretched them out and you've been tuning to stretched out strings and you put them on and everything pulls different, it doesn't matter if you do it one at a time, because we're talking about the collective tension of all 6 strings together is what sets where this thing is at, right? So it doesn't matter if you change one string at a time. It's the collective tension of all 6. Then if you change brands, so let's say we went from these Ernie Ball 9s and we changed to NYXL 9s, the tension will change because not every brand has the same amount of string tension. You know, like 9s might be like 87 pounds of string tension, you know, per set. Well, what if another set is 89 pounds or 91 pounds? Then you're pulling on your strings different. So that's definitely a thing. Let's see. Won't this change the angle of the bridge plate so that it is not flush with the body? I'm going backwards. No, because that's what you're actually equalizing. When you set it with the feeler gauges and then set the string tension to level and then readjust it, that's the collective is at the end is that it is still straight with the body. Yeah, man. So it works really good. It's and to tell you the truth, this is almost the exact same way I float a Strat tremolo. Um, I I got this from some weird YouTube video. Some guy was like super low quality video like a long time ago. And then I applied it to my Strat and started doing it to my Strat because I play more Strats than I do Floyds. And then everybody was like, "You stole this from Fruitua," and I didn't, because I actually got it from somebody else. And then I saw Fruitua's and I was like, "Oh yeah," and you put them both together and it makes sense. So the rest of the guitar setup, let's talk about that, because all we've really done is we've just balanced the trem. At this point, and this is where Floyds are different than other guitars. At this point, we've established playing string tension, okay? Before this point, you couldn't really set your neck relief. Now we can set our neck relief because everything is pulling in the directions that it wants to pull, okay? So now we could set our neck relief. If I wanted to, I could probably put about a quarter turn into this and flatten it out just a little bit, but I'm not going to. So if you put your first finger on the first fret and you put your first finger on the first fret where the guitar joins the body, right down here, and then you look halfway in between and you look at that gap, and if it's any more than about a business card, then you're going to want to tighten your truss rod and bring the middle of the neck up, okay? And then you're going to want to test out or check your string height. On this guitar, let's just do it at the 12th fret because that's where we are today. So these little tool sets that I was telling you about come with the little string height dude, and we're going to check it. And I like these guitars because action's pretty low at like 3/64. So actually this is a little bit high. So then what we would do is take this dude, put it in the pivots, and tighten it to lower it and loosen it to raise it. I'm actually going to leave it because I like how it is. But if we were going to lower the action, we would tighten it to lower it, loosen it to raise the action. One thing, there's a mixed bag on this, but some people will tell you to take your springs off of your tremolo to adjust your string height at your bridge right here. I subscribe to that because, especially on import Floyds or made for Schecter Floyds, or like not the real Floyds, these leading edges of these trems can be a little soft. And if you go in here with string tension and everything's pulled together and start twisting it, you could screw up that little edge in there, and then the tremolo won't center like it's supposed to anymore because you made like a little flat spot on it. So just be real careful when, especially on cheaper ones, when you're adjusting the string height of the bridge, because you could screw with that. And then the very last thing I would do on this guitar is I would check my intonation. Now, intonation on a Floyd's a little tough. What you have to do is you actually have to loosen these nuts right here. But you don't want to just loosen them, because on a Floyd, there's tension on them, and so they pop. And they will never go back to where you want them to go by hand. So what you have to do is there's a tool, which I can't find right now. That's why we're not doing it today. I'll do it in another video. I'm ordering a new one because they came out with a better one than the little stamped steel one I used to have. They have a really nice aluminum one now. I put a link to it in the description of the video. So if you don't have a Floyd intonation adjustment tool, you need to get one. There's one in the description below. It's better than the one I had. I can't find it anywhere. It's better than what I had, so I'm just going to order it. It's like 30 bucks. It's a little tool that you put in here, and it holds everything so that you can adjust, you can loosen this nut, or loosen this screw, and adjust the intonation. So I'm going to get one of those, and then we'll do a separate video on how to adjust the intonation on a Floyd. But intonation is always the very last step that you do on everything. Well, maybe besides pickup height, but basically the last mechanical step that you do on a guitar is intonation anyway. So there you go. Floyd setup. It's not that hard. Dive into it, man. Mess with it. You're not going to really mess anything up as long as you don't damage or strip any parts. You'll be able to get it back where it's supposed to go. So yeah, cool. Let me just make sure. Let's see. Yeah, the original Floyd guy that I saw, it wasn't Fruitua. It was a guy from America, and it was probably done 10, 15 years ago, probably 10 years ago, on, like, you know, when cameras weren't very good, and it was on a table like this with terrible lighting, and, like, you know, maybe it was done with a phone, I don't know, but it was terrible, but it was like, man, that is a solid way to do that, and I've been doing it ever since. It's pretty awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out, you guys. I know this is a little bit different way to do a video, but since there's zero production time and I just hang out with you live, it's way easier. So we may do some of these sometimes. Plus, this being able to ask questions live as we go is pretty cool. So we may do a few of these here and there. Do me a favor, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. If you like guitar tech, geek stuff like this, please hit the like button. Also, if you wouldn't mind, use those links below to at least do some shopping and looking around. I would appreciate that because it does help out the channel just a little bit. And yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. And I guess we will see you tomorrow for the news, which will not be live. The news will not be live tomorrow, but we're going to do the gear news on Tuesday. And then we will see you at our normal Q&A live stream on Thursday at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.